question: how many of your colleagues were similarly situated to you guys, where you guys are from here, right? Was that common in the DA's office? Because for me, at Legal Aid, when I was in Manhattan, I was maybe 10% of us were from Manhattan, and maybe 20% of us were actually from New York City.
Queens, most people are from New York City. Very rare. You're not. They're Long Island mainly because I think the commute-wise, Queens heavy. The people that were from Long Island moved to Queens just to work at the DA's office, and very rare they're from like another, maybe went to school somewhere else. Like I went to Penn State Law, but I mean, I was from Brooklyn. I went to college in the city. But you've had people that went to other states to other, went to law school in other states, but they came back to New York where they're from and they're at the DA's office.
I mean, I would tell you, I think if one thing I would enforce if I was a DA is a residential requirement years before. I know that sounds hard and impossible.
How are you going to get people to work?
You gotta understand though.
This is a government job. They don't pay nothing.
No, you don't realize, you might be 100% right and I'm wrong, but like the amount of, like the difference between an ADA that is like us as compared to ADAs that's not like us is, it's fucking, it's night and day.
But it's
night and day.
You gotta understand, this is New York City.
Yes.
Okay. New York City is the center of the legal world for most of the entire earth. Do you know how much 100%. Lawyering goes on right here? Whether you're outside of New York City practicing, you are talking to somebody in an office in New York who decides. Yeah. So the same thing is true for the prosecutors. They come here. They come from everywhere. They come from Harvard. They come from Yale. They come from Duke. They come from Georgia. They come from UCLA. And yes, there's a lot of us. Like for example, I went to New York Law School. New York Law School has a lot of its graduates who go into the city and work in the government. CUNY. Corporation Counsel, same thing, right?
Yeah, CUNY, yeah.
And that's a great thing because you'll find that there's a lot of us who are bureau chiefs, who are in the mayor's office, who are in corrections, who are really like, we come here to work, to learn, and we stay here and we keep going, right? Mm-hmm. But there's also a lot of people who come here because the number one, most political, most likely to get you into the Southern District DA's office in the city of New York is in Manhattan. Yeah,
Manhattan DA's
right?
office. That's
if you want to go, you can go to Richmond County if you decide you want to be a political figure one day, because they will. If you make it to a certain level there, you're in a good position to go and be a councilman. I know a couple of them, right? They started off in the Bronx, found their way to Richmond. Next thing you know, they're running for office, right? The same thing is true for Queens. Queens is one of the most diverse counties in the world. It's so diverse.
It's the world.
Right? The world. And when you think about how many different people, how many different cultures, you can't possibly represent them with just New Yorkers. You got to get people from somewhere else.
But here's your issue, with the comment you made of why can't people like us be ADAs? Who the fuck want to work this job and not get paid? Most minorities that go and become lawyers, they want to make money. That was why. And
that was going to be the original story of Gene and Ev, because I was going to tell you my story about, I applied to be a DA. And the only reason I applied to be a DA is because my 1L year, I got smizzled. I'm not going to bore the entire world with my GPA, but it was not nice. I was told specifically, don't put it on your resume. I got smoked, and I went to law school. I wanted to be a lawyer, right? I guarantee wanted to be a lawyer. I grew up as a child wanting to be a lawyer. But I didn't know what the fuck that was. I didn't know what it meant until I got to law school. And while I'm in law school, I'm realizing like, oh, okay, this is a business. I basically went to business school. Like everyone is telling me that this is a business, that it becomes down to who you know, what law firm you get into, all this jazz. Mm-hmm. I got smoked. I went to my criminal law professor, which was the second half of the year, because I already knew I got smoked. I got smoked in the first half of 1L. I was like, hey, what am I going to do now that my GPA is trash? Like, how am I going to get a job? And what he said is, do something that GPA don't matter. Do something practical, where like your ability to do the job is paramount, which you'll learn through internships or externships, and your desire to do the job is all they give a fuck about. That's doing family law, that's doing fucking prosecution, defense, whatever.
Any service.
And any service
Wish I'd
job,
have
yes.
got that advice.
And then St. John's is a law
Me
school
either.
where if you end up going into service, between their mock trial team that they care about a lot and their funnel that's literally in the building that goes straight to the Queen's DA, you'll be a DA. If you get into the prosecution clinic, which I did not get into.
Oh, well, then that's your problem.
No.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah,
I love being a public defender.
I used to.
I used to.
And I think there's a couple of things. One, Manhattan is very just.
Manhattan is very unique.
It's a unique
I used to
place.
laugh.
It's a little toxic.
I don't think it's
I
like
still
comparable.
meet defenders who knew me in the Bronx. They'd be like, and they used to, especially the Bronx defenders complains about the Bronx DA's office like they're the devil. And so you'll see Bronx defenders who now go to who would go to Harlem defenders or they go to legal aid.
They're like,
and I
holy
see
shit.
them and they're like, I had no idea how good I had it.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And I go, I told you, you didn't listen.
And so so there's one half of it's that, and I still like my heart is my first week of law school I was asked to speak on a panel about stop and frisk, and there was a professor there, Professor Bay Powell, and I saw how like she just there's also a cop on the thing, but she was just so good. I didn't know anything about law. Nobody in my family is a lawyer or anything like that. I knew I wanted to help people like my community. I just didn't understand really how that was gonna, turn out. And I saw this person, and I was on a panel with her, and she was just so fucking good. It was that moment I was like, that's where I want to be. She's a warrior. That's what I want to do. And then I never looked back from public defense. Now, 7 years out of, or 1 year out of being from I don't know how to say this. After 7 years or 6 and a half years of being a public defender, taking a break off, and then going back to criminal defense, part of me is like, I felt like cannon fodder. I feel like if and this may be a Manhattan thing, but like unless you come from money, you should only do public defense for 3 years and then get out and then make a life for yourself. Because especially in New York City, because you cannot make a living on it. Public defenders get paid less than DAs. You cannot make a living in New York City on a public defender salary.
DAs don't get paid. Yes, you guys do get paid less.
DA's just got a lot of
DAs
raises. They're doing pretty good right now.
Well, speak for certain boroughs, but DAs, I will say, like, just for full transparency, starting DA in 2018 was $60K, and you just went through law school.
Yeah.
Teachers were making more than a DA without a law degree. Like, you get it without a master's, just a bachelor's. So it's like,
out of 6.5 years,
and I mean
of
charter
practice,
school teachers. I can't speak for
wasn't
DOE.
even cracking 80,000. Right. That is like when you compare that to other lawyers in the profession. That's
especially if you're doing like 1,000 cases a year.
And I'm the type of person that I would go above and beyond for my clients. Always and will always come first. I will whatever. And to take that burden on, have the caseloads you have, and then not get paid as a living salary. Like I'm from here. I shouldn't have to move out of here because I want to be a public defender, but can't afford to live in the city that birthed and raised me. And like there's a part of like and look, I may be a little disgruntled for a lot of different reasons, but at the end, I felt like it was cannon fodder. And it just was like, there's always somebody behind you, just take you out to the front lines and deplete. And I really think that, especially attorneys of color, when they're coming out of law school, public defense is a needed, just like, I would love if I can financially be in a place where I can work and not have to worry about it. I would 100% go back to public defense, like without a question. But like
You can't sustain a life.
you can't,
You
and
can't.
it's a sad state
It's
for
I
society.
would say you can, but it's hard to practically sustain a legitimate, comfortable life. You can pay your bills, but
If I'm by myself, I was comfortable for a while, but if you have a partner, if you have kids, if there are just so many different.
I think
things
what it
that-
really is.
it puts you
is-
into poverty. Government work in general, as an attorney, I would say,
I'm making
in
so
a
much
lot
more
of
money
ways,
now than
put you into
before.
poverty.
And that that is like
My perspective is that like
I wish I left 3 years ago. I wish I left after 3 years.
My perspective is that, like, I think
100%.
as a public defender, you make enough money to take the job and do the job. What you don't make enough money to do is to see the opportunities out there and not reevaluate your life day to day. Because when you see the opportunity, especially as someone who started this, and I've also worked on commercials and worked with a lot of private attorneys, and when I realized, like, oh shit, like I put 10 years into being a public defender so I get loan forgiveness, to get $400,000 off my whatever, right? Because it grew up to $400,000. But I've seen private attorneys, and I'm like, oh shit.
I could have made
You
this.
would have paid.
Well, in those 10 years, I would have built a multi-million-dollar
100%, and your
firm.
earning potential would have, after 5 years of doing doing private defense, would be. I mean, like, it just doesn't.
You gotta
it
think
doesn't-
about
That's the
it
math that doesn't
make
add.
s-
You gotta
doesn't
think
make
about it.
that
sense.
math don't math.
Eugene, how many trials you did, right? Calculate the trials you've done and calculate how much you could.
I've taken a lot of discounts.
The discount, baby. However,
Come to Manhattan. You'll do a fucking try.
God put me exactly where I needed to be to have enough time to make this show. I trust you, God.
so outside of your discounts, think of your colleagues.
Yeah,
The
no,
amount of
they don't get
trials-
enough discount.
The amount of trials they done,
They seem stressed.
the amount of trials they done, the amount of money they could have
Yeah.
made for
Oh,
each
yeah, of course.
trial. Your
100%.
loans would have been paid off
Yeah, no.
in 3 years.
Because like now I'm actually making like $60,000 more than I was making, a little bit give or take, right? More than that. And like I'm still just as attentive to my clients are still getting the same amount of attention.
I would imagine it's less. Your caseload got to be lower.
Oh, my caseload is lower, but like there's still all my clients have still my personal cell phone number. I did that my first like I would get told left and right by colleagues, don't give your cell phone number. Like no,
That's
I
crazy.
gave like
That's
my
crazy.
clients need to have complete access
Yeah,
to me.
hell
There's
yeah.
situ- and I can set
paying you
boundaries
money.
with people. Hey,
no. As a public defender, what I think
I
is,
did that.
if you
Now
have my
I'm
number-
doing it, and I'm actually billing people. And like for having access to me,
I know.
it is like my clients get the same
So
amount
those
of heart and
messages and
energy
phone
and
calls get
attention.
billed?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
He said, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?"
What do you mean? You leave it
Like you said, it's a business. It's a business.
Cut that, Connor. Cut those angles. All right. Well,
Look.
No, go ahead.
You have to. Everybody here realizes that you're paid for your time and your experience. But when you come out of law school, and you go to the DA's office and you go to legal aid, the reality is you have neither.
Yeah.
You have no time and you have no experience and you don't have any skills yet.
Yeah.
So they take advantage of you.
Yes, 100%.
And they lock you in for 3
100%.
years. You're committed. So at the end of 3 years, all of a sudden they go, hey, we're giving you a raise. And you're like, whoa, $10,000 more than they made last year? Thank God!
Yeah.
I was
It looks-
starving!
It looks like 5,000 still looks like a lot when you like
When you're not
in that
making shit.
yeah.
100%.
So what
And
do you
you're
do?
sitting
You
there,
stay,
your
right?
calculator.
Yeah.
When I remember that when
You're
I
like
was
an
a third
extra
year,
$100.
third year ADA, there was fifth years, really skilled, really talented fifth years. They were all on the rise, really well trained. They were all on the rob. They'd done all their grand jury time. They were going into the felony division, but they were broke. They were broke. They couldn't do it. And the DA's office had hired a bunch of 1Ls who were making more money than the fifth years. And the fifth years were like, "Are you going to pay us to stay?" And the DA's office looked them in the face and said, "No." So they all left. Every single fifth year left.
What year was this?
This was in 2017. Yeah,
Crazy.
they all left.
When I started.
I remember hearing about this meeting, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
They don't care.
They pay, and I remember, like, look, I remember then the next year, the boss went and got some more money. And the thing is, she got money slated for 1L. She didn't get money slated for 50. She couldn't give them the money.
Yeah.
It's not that she didn't want to. She would have loved. She would have been happy to pay people more.
To
But she couldn't do it.
to get out of law schools to like more competitive, they basically raised them like they did that for us. Like I forgot when it was, but they what was the governor? What was the mayor before Eric Adams?
De Blasio.
De Blasio agreed to pay parity for the defense attorneys and kind of also the prosecutors with corporate counsel. Because corporate counsel, those motherfuckers.
They were making
bank.
Bank.
They were making bank. I had the chart for corporate counsel. They were making bank, and they agreed to pay parity, but this is pre-COVID, and they rolled out pay parity by getting the first like 4 or 5 steps actually at pay parity. I think it was pay parity with corporate counsel, which basically gave all these fucking straight out the box. Straight out the fucking the womb.
Brand new people,
like $10,000, $15,000 raises.
I was training ADAs. I was teaching them how to do trials. I was teaching them how to review a case. I was teaching them how to write a complaint, and they were making more money than I did.
That's crazy.
And then you know, and I was a third. I remember I was a third year, and so in fourth year, they fixed their mistake. They gave everybody bonuses, not raises, bonuses. And then by my fifth year, I remember I was finishing my 5th year out, and then that was the first year ever that I was making at the DA's office more than $70,000, and I'd been there almost 5 years.
Yeah, and if you talk to any other lawyer, and it gets me upset because if you talk to any other lawyer who does any other type of work, not real lawyer work like we do, but I have friends out of the second year they're making 200 plus. Right, and it is such a disparity that it actually is a disservice to the society.
It's disrespectful
right?
because the type of job we're doing is
hard and real.
It's hard as fuck.
People's lives are actually on the
like,
line, not money.
100%.
It's lives that are on the line.
We're supposed to be dedicated, right? All of us, whether you're a defense attorney or a prosecutor or a judge, or you're a court attorney or you're a clerk, you're supposed to be solely dedicated to the job.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to think about the job as a responsibility. You're supposed to be ethical. You're supposed to take it seriously. You're not supposed to begrudge it. Yeah. But if you work 40 hours and you're not allowed to work anywhere else because it's a conflict of interest, right? Or if you're like I was as a prosecutor and you're working 60 to 70 hours.
Approvals for outside businesses.
Mm-hmm. You can't start a business. You can't take a second job. You can't even say. I remember I was in my second year.
Thank God for legal aid and their support of the First Amendment.
I remember in my
Thank you.
You need approval. It has to go through the approval process because it's a form of like
self-expression?
conflict.
Oh, it's called.
Conflict.
I remember in my
You work
second
for
year, I
government.
went to HR and I was like, hey, listen, is it okay if I take a part-time job on the weekends waiting tables for my uncle's restaurant, right? Just to make some money.
Even that you had to go for approval?
They were like, well, we're a little concerned. What if you accidentally give somebody underage alcohol?
Yeah.
You've
I
heard
knew
this,
it.
You've heard this
No,
line
I
too?
guessed it because why else?
They wouldn't approve me.
Why
They
else?
did not approve.
I would have became a bartender or something cute.
Like, yo, bro,
So,
I'm not even gonna work the hours. My
how
uncle's
this
gonna
how
give it to
hurts-
me.
This is how it hurts society, right? You have like the experienced attorneys who have shown who have proven dedication to this specific field leaving, and then so my first class there were 14 attorneys in legal aid for the whole legal aid society, right? Half of them were from other divisions that were coming into criminal. This year, it's 100. It's 100 attorneys. The reason why, and I'll speak specifically for Manhattan, is because they're losing everybody. All of the experienced attorneys are leaving.
Don't forget that 10 years is up. All those people are
are
done.
I couldn't even make it to 10 years because it came to the point where like I was so beaten down, and this job is so fucking important to me that once I didn't have the heart to do it, I had to put my fucking 2 weeks in because I did not believe that me dragging my feet for this incredibly important role was I'd rather try to find another job while I'm unemployed than continue to do this and potentially hurt people because I'm not all in.
Because you're not all in. And
But you know what
fair.
I will tell you about being a prosecutor, right? And I don't know how you feel. I truly loved my job.
Love my job.
I loved my job.
Loved it.
Look, I took the subway for 2 hours each way to get to my job.
I didn't do that.
And
but I
I
loved
get,
it.
I would have loved my job slightly less.
and I'd wear sweatpants because I'd leave my suits in my office, and I'd get to the office, and I would always get harassed because I was late, and I'm like, I've been traveling since 6:30 in the morning. No one cared. No one cared, and it didn't matter because I didn't care. I got there, changed into my suit, and all I did all day long was try to do the right thing. Now, I don't know if everybody does this. I think the majority of prosecutors try to do the right thing. I really do. But
You get
I
broken by the
also
system.
get into fights with people who I don't think are doing the right thing.
Because I think some people don't understand what the right thing is because they don't have the knowledge, the ability, the experience to decipher what the right thing is.
Because it's a revolving door of newer attorneys that get chewed up, and the older ones, if like
Or
I said,
people that just don't understand real shit.
yeah,
They don't understand petty larceny. People are hungry.
Look, all I can tell you is I remember
like
this.
you know, like things like that, like the little simple part of it. I've never met anyone in the prosecution office that didn't try to do the right thing. However, just what they thought the right thing was, I wouldn't agree with.
Well, here's the problem.
you know,
And this is the
They
real
see
problem.
a criminal and they're like, you must be guilty.
Some of these
Like-
people in the DA's offices just believe whatever the officer hands them.
yeah.
They don't dig deeper.
Yeah.
But I truly took Rob Johnson's words seriously. I always dug deeper. I always asked questions. I cross-examined my officers. I'd be
Me
like,
too.
look, I'm going to cross-examine you.
As
And that's what you're
upset
gonna
as
do
they
here.
will be, they'll be upset.
No, they all liked me. They
Yeah,
all had my
but-
personal cell phone. They used to text me and be like, what's going on?
I mean, I love that they liked you. I had to work through that, like, because as a first interaction, black female lawyer, and I'm not like, oh, I'm about to cross-examine you. Here's
You're
a
testing them.
flag.
Yeah.
I'm just about to start asking you questions to see if you can articulate, and then I'm gonna help you through your articulation. I'm asking you that not because I don't believe you. I want to know if you can articulate it, because when you go on the stand, this is what the defense attorney is gonna rub you on.
Oh, you're doing
But
it before trial. I was just doing it. First meeting.
Yes, that's before trial.
No. I mean, first meeting after I got the case, I was cross-examining them.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is before trial.
Okay, I'm just saying.
and most cases don't go to trial, so I'm not at the eve of trial. I'm like prepping my case because I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened at intake sometimes, and I'm on the phone. And after they get in the attitude, I'll be like, this is what you're going to be asked in the long run, so this is why I'm asking these questions. If you want me to prosecute this case, let me be able
You
to
need some
articulate for
confidence.
you.
Yeah.
And that's where I was at with it. And they didn't like it at first because I wasn't waving a wand saying like, I'm about to do this. No, I want to see how you're going to react, right? And then after, I'm going to get you back and I'll be like, listen, I get it, but if you want this, like, this is what it is. And this is where you're not going to make this mistake or think about next time you go to make the arrest. This is what you maybe need to think about because you may have Gene in the car, right?
Facts.
And you need to think about it. You're going to be like,
That'll be
that
on your
ADA
P's and Q's.
that ADA was asking you these questions at intake. And then I'm telling you, especially as a misdemeanor assistant, when I was actually taking my cases, when I met my officers, they loved the shit out of me at that point. I wasn't giving them my numbers. I wasn't. But kudos
I
to you.
got along well with my officers.
Well,
I
look,
give everybody my number.
It-
Fuck.
But they was getting
I
my
gave it to
number
the
when we was
audience
going
last
to
time.
hearings because I needed to find you. However, they loved it after, and I've never had a bad experience with an officer. But in the beginning, when you are putting them on that stand early on, they're not happy about it. But it's a teaching lesson, and that's what I took pride in, being that person to be like, yo, everyone hates you and everyone's gonna hate me, so we're gonna figure it out and make sure this shit is clean.
You guys might be the most diligent prosecutors I've ever met because
You're
that,
not.
hey, we only get the best of the best for
I
attorneys
can't
with
tell you how many
swag.
times I've cross-examined police officers on the stand, and they are not. They have not practiced. They have
I mean,
not
we wouldn't be
thought of
sitting
it.
on his
They
couch
would-
if he-
No, I'm just like.
Because we would have been like, what?
You
This
guys
defense
are,
attorney?
and
Hell
this
no.
is probably why you're not prosecutors anymore. But like you guys, like you guys should be the held up example for what prosecution should be.
You know,
because that's not the majority. And once again, this may be a Manhattan thing for me. I love you and I hate you, Manhattan. But like that has not been my experiences, and I've done a lot more trials than I should have, and it's the cops. That's the best part. Cops are they are not used to being questioned at all on the facts. They don't fucking watch the body camera footage. They don't do shit. It's like the only and in every single case except one, I put my client on the stand. I'm a firm believer in the importance of hearing from the client, and I can train you how to testify. That's my fucking job. Is to go over with you again and again and again, so you're prepared for all of that, and it's effective. But yeah, I mean, Yeah. It's just
I don't
credit to you
think,
guys.
I will say to you, because I know you got your Manhattan PTSD, I don't think, I don't think it's a Manhattan thing. I was friends with defense attorneys, i.e. one, while a prosecutor and after, and I've had this feedback happen before of like the frustration of just like dealing with prosecutors. But again, not everybody comes from the same walk of life to really understand certain things. So I mean, it's what we're faced with, but New York is very diverse.
Right, we're all people of color who are from New York City and grew up here, and that
government work.
Right. Well, not me. Yeah, we didn't go to government work.
That's government.
Sorry, buddy. You were a public defender. You got some city money, my friend.
I'm confused.
You not get loan forgiveness?
I'm pretty sure
You got some city money, my
I'm
friend.
pretty sure government.
Loan forgiveness?
In the words of the
prophet.
prophet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th. I'm not gonna answer any more of these questions.
All right. Well,
Just remember, court-appointed counsel.
look. On that